The draft is right around the corner, which means it's time to discuss the 5 needs for the Carolina Panthers heading into the draft. What is going on, folks? Please be sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Help us continue to grow. So, did this a little bit differently. So, one, I have my own personal opinions, but I also wanted to pull in some analysis offline of what I could gather and what sites are recommending what players and how does this thing stack up. So that's part of the way I'm going to kind of tip my hat into breaking this down. I don't know that I agree with it, but it's some of the analysis that we did from researching online and where the Panthers sit. Overall, I think the 5 that they have makes sense. I just don't know if I'd have them in the same order. But without further ado, number 5, honestly, the defensive front. Whether you're talking a tackle, an end, likely those two in the mix, one of the top needs for the Panthers. And I think that's even been shown as you look at some of the top 30 visits for guys that they are starting to bring in. Not all first-round talent, possibly second, third rounder. But I think the team, as we know, and as we talked about, wants to establish a very strong front, add competition at every position. And so for me, I think putting that at 5 works. Most recent additions of some of the guys that they brought in as well, Patrick Jones, Bobby Brown, when we talk about the depth for this team and what it can look like next year. Like we said, Patrick Jones, Bobby Brown, Treshaun Wharton, those 3 guys being in the mix with the addition of some more bodies can only be more beneficial for a team that struggled so badly against the run. So I like that sitting at 5. Now, number 4, they have cornerback. And I think, yes, you could put this in the mix, no doubt about it. I don't know if it's an outside cornerback because you have Mike Jackson and J.C. Horn. Never hurts to upgrade. I think I'd be looking more for a nickel cornerback that can compete with Charles Smith-Wade. So improving the cornerback room is important. I already mentioned who we brought back. I think having the cornerback position sitting there at number 4 as a need makes a lot of sense to me. Moving up to number 3, and we're not going to go too far out of the defensive back room because we're going to look right at the safety position, folks. Panthers have a very significant need. I would almost put safety at number 2. Now, there's a good chance they get things locked up in free agency. They bring in the guys that they want, the guys that they brought in for visits. That could always pan out. But in the event that it doesn't, or you don't get the guy that you want, you don't want to be in a panic situation because safeties just don't float around. So for me, I think the Panthers have to be thinking safety early. I don't know if it's at pick 8, but potentially in a trade back scenario, early second round, maybe third, depending on if they go wide receiver, edge, however this thing plays out, linebacker. I think it's a very big need for the Carolina Panthers because they don't have the depth. They don't. You bring back Nick Scott, you have Devontae Richardson, you bring Rowick over from the Raiders, and you're just like, okay, 3 guys on the roster right now. Nick Scott, to me, although not a desperation move because he's more for special teams, Panthers still not sitting very good right now with the safety position. Wide receiver at number 2, and like the rankings on this, it goes by numbers of mentions. So defensive tackle was mentioned 7 times in some of the articles. Cornerback 8, safety 11, wide receiver 12. Wide receiver is a big topic. Always has been. We've done enough conversing on this. I'm not going to go through too much. I do agree it's a need. Maybe I'd have it as need number 3. It depends on where the Panthers want to put this thing. They seem to be leaning into drafting defense early. I think that's where, like, we know the Panthers have struggled, and they did struggle last year, but it wouldn't be surprised if either in the second or third, Panthers go out and decide to get another wide receiver for Bryce Young. If you're going to preach competition, you got to bring competition to both sides of the ball. It can't just be on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to have a true competition at the center position. Bring in someone at wide receiver to add some fuel to the fire. And last on our list, how can we not talk about edge? Biggest need for this team by far, even with the addition of Patrick Jones, you look at who the Panthers have on the roster right now, and Jadeveon Clowney, Patrick Jones, who's brought in, potentially there's a battle there, and DJ Wonnum. I do have confidence in DJ Wonnum being able to be a relatively good starter. Like, seeing him in a full year and what he can potentially do for this team, yeah, I like it. I also like the idea of Patrick Jones potentially moving up into the starting spot. But you can wreak havoc when you have a bunch of guys that you can throw in there. And I'm not saying throwing this huge rotation for the Panthers, but they need some depth. They need some young guys because Clowney's not getting any younger. Wonnum's going to be a free agent. So is Clowney next year too. You need some young talent that you can develop and build around because we've seen what successful teams have been able to do at that position. So those are the top 5 needs based on some of the data and analysis that we pulled. Would love to know what you guys think. And to recap, so edge number 1, wide receiver 2, safety 3, cornerback 4, defensive tackle 5. And that rounds out your needs for the Carolina Panthers heading into the draft.